Good morning, everyone. My name is Bethany Menimbo, and I am the Supplier Engagement Manager in the Montgomery County Office of Procurement. Welcome to our February online open house. Thank you all for joining us today. Our topic today is what to expect when responding to an RFP, which is request for proposals. I'll start today by introducing our procurement leadership, and they will introduce our staff members, and then we'll get started with our presentation today. So I'll start with Grace Deno.
Good morning. Welcome to our February open house. My name is Grace Deno. I'm one of the division chiefs in the Office of Procurement. My unit manages and enforces all the contract compliance programs, social economic programs, such as local, small, minority, female, disabled, veteran-owned businesses, as well as wage compliance programs, and also outreach and vendor relations. I'd like to introduce my staff. Bethany, have you introduced yourself?
Yes, good morning. My name is Bethany Menimbo, and I am the Supplier Engagement Manager in the Division of Business Relations and Compliance. Welcome.
Thank you, Bethany. I'm Steve Noguera.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Stephen Noguera. I manage the county's prevailing wage program. This law is a wage law that covers our construction contracts as well as our mechanical services contracts. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Alvin Boss.
Good morning. My name is Alvin Boss. I'm the program manager for the Minority Female Disabled Owned Businesses program. It's designed to assist certified minority firms in gaining access to contract opportunities. Welcome.
Thank you, Al. Michael Brown.
Good morning. My name is Michael Brown, and I manage the local business programs in Montgomery County in the Office of Procurement with the Division of Business Relations and Compliance, and I manage all three of the local programs for the county.
Thank you, Michael. Carrie Albright.
Morning, everyone. My name is Carrie Albright, and I am the program manager for the Wage Requirements Law. That law is applicable to county services contracts. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you. And Pat Scheid.
Good morning. My name is Pat Scheid. I'm a program specialist on the DBRC team, and I assist people with customer service for the county vendor registration system and also the Veterans Business Preference Program, and provide other support to our team.
Thank you, Pat. Bethany, back to you.
Thank you. And now I'll introduce Melissa Garner.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Melissa Garner. I'm the Division Chief of Operations here in the Office of Procurement. Operations deals primarily with the internal customers on the department side, where we help facilitate them acquiring their needs through the procurement process. I will also go through and introduce my staff. So Bob Norris.
Hello, good morning. Bob Norris. I'm a section operation manager in the operations division. I currently manage 6 buyers. Some of the departments that we are responsible for are the Department of General Services. I do the construction, or myself and the buyers do the construction on that. Also, the public safety contracts, which involve police, fire, and sheriff. Thank you.
Ben. Ben Comer. All right, we'll jump to Brianna.
Good morning. My name is Brianna Oland. I am a procurement specialist on Team 1 under Nola Song. I work primarily with our Department of Technology, Enterprise, and Business Solutions, as well as the Behavioral Health and Crisis Services Division with the Health and Human Services Department.
Thank you. And go to Jing.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jing Chen, and I'm procurement specialist in Karen's team. My portfolio includes DOT Director's Office, DOT Transit Services, DOT Transportation Engineering. Thank you.
And Calaria?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kalario Bossi, and I'm a procurement specialist too, under Team 2 with Bob Norris. Some of the departments that I oversee are Sheriff's Office, Public Libraries, and the Department of Community Services. Thank you.
Karen?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Karen DeLuca, and I work on the operations side. I'm one of 3 section operations managers, and I lead a team of 6 specialists on Team 3. Welcome, everyone.
And Michael Grieve?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Grieve. I'm on Team 3. I'm procurement specialist 2. I work with the Department of Transportation, Highway Services, and I do the knowledge transfer contracts for the county. Thank you.
Right. Thanks. Michael Scholl?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Scholl. I'm a procurement specialist on Team 3. I'm buyer for the Community Engagement Cluster, Office of County Attorney, Circuit Court, County Council, and some of the recreation contracts. Thank you for coming.
Penny?
Hello, this is Penny Karakaya, and I'm a procurement specialist under Bob Norris. The department I handle is Department of General Services, Facilities Management, and Central Services. Welcome, everyone. Thank you.
Zahan?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Zahan Hassan. I'm procurement specialist in the Division of Operations on Team 1 with Nola Song. I manage Office of Grant Management contracts and as well as Health and Human Service contracts, especially for the Division of Director's Office, Office of Community Affairs, Chief Operating Office, and Services to End and Prevent Homelessness. Thank you.
Zoe?
Good morning, everybody.
There we go. Okay.
Sorry. Morning, everybody. My name is Zoe Pollock. I am a procurement specialist on Karen's team, and I work with the Department of Recreation.
All right, and we'll go back to Ben. If you can hear me this time, sorry. He sent me a note saying that I came in a little quiet. So
No problem. No
my
problem. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ben Comer. I'm a procurement specialist under Bob's team. My portfolio is primarily the Department of General Services Division of Fleet Management, and I also help out with ABS contracts. Thank you for coming.
All right, I think that covers everyone who is here from my group. Trying to make it through the long list. So I'll toss it back to you, Bethany.
Thank you. And I'll introduce Sharonda Baltimore.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Sharonda Baltimore, and I manage the Division of Central Services. So we support operations and compliance, and we handle all of the internal functions, including IT, budget, customer service, HR, and for you, and most importantly, is public information requests. So my team handles that. I have here with me on my team, Nana, if you can unmute and turn on your camera and introduce yourself.
Yep, thanks, Sharonda. Morning, y'all. My name is Nana. I am one of the IT specialists under Sharonda in Divisions of Central Services, and I primarily assist with helping to maintain, update, and troubleshoot our various internal systems, mainly based around managing our procurement contracts and ensuring like the various services around those procurement contracts work as they're expected.
Thank you, Nana. Larry?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Larry Frere. I work in the Central Services Division under Sharonda Baltimore as a record operations coordinator. So my chief function is to process MPA record requests. It's nice to meet y'all. Thank you.
And unless I missed someone, and if I did, I apologize. I think that is it for my group. So I'll turn it back to you, Bethany. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharonda. Now that we've all been introduced, I will turn it over to Melissa Garner for her presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Bethany. I'm going to share my screen again because I have a presentation for y'all. This is going to be a little bit of talking through things, as well as like touching base on some specific pieces of information for y'all. So the topic is what to expect when responding to an RFP, and there are a handful of different things that y'all need to take into consideration. One is mainly being aware of them, which if you have registered on the county CVRS site, then you would have put in commodity codes that would allow you to get notifications for any solicitations that are posted relative to that commodity code. You will automatically be notified about. So please make sure you register via CVRS, and put as many commodity codes as you can that are associated to your work. That way you get that automatic notification. A very particular thing to that, though, is whatever contact information you put in there is going to be the email person, whether it's a group email, whether it's a specific person, they're going to be the ones that get that. So make sure it's up to date, because if somebody retired 5 years ago and you're not getting anything, it might be because you haven't updated that. So that's one thing, is making sure you're aware of what's out there. The other thing is also you can always go to our website. We always have them posted whenever they are active. And we do have a projections site up as well projections information up on our site as well, that gives you an idea of what we may be aware of that's coming down the pipeline, but isn't necessarily posted yet. So that's like just a preamble of, let's start with just knowing that they exist and knowing that you have access to them. So on your part, get registered, put in those commodity codes, and pay attention to our website as things are coming out. All right, so getting into the presentation though, what I do want to touch base on is some very particulars about how you can respond. So what you should expect from us as the county when it comes to RFPs is we will be putting together solicitations based on and when I say we, between the departments and our office. So I mentioned in my introduction that operations works with the departments. They determine the need that they have, and then we assist them through the procurement process. So the department is the one that builds out the solicitation and what it is their needs are, what experience requirements are there, what deliverables are expected, the scope of work, all of that is developed by the department, but we assist them through the procurement process and facilitate them getting to that in contract execution. So, but I have some pointers for y'all to understand on when you are responding. You expect us to have the solicitation there with the information necessary for you to provide a proposal. And these are the tips that I'm going to give you on when you're responding with your proposal and the key things to take into consideration. So this is just a snapshot of it. I'm going to go into a more specific breakdown here, and hopefully this is large enough for you to be able to see it now, because I know the other one was a little small. Okay, so jumping into this, one of the biggest, not one of the biggest things, one thing to consider is the appearance of your package. So just a reminder that the manner in which we receive proposals is different on the technical side of you're now submitting it via BidNet. Like people were used to it years ago being submitted just as a hard copy package to our office. We don't accept them that way. However, that doesn't mean that package shouldn't still be clearly labeled, organized, etc. Right? So when you submit your stuff to BidNet, then please pay attention to the files that are there, the expectation on how it's broken down, but also consider the fact that you still need to have some sort of organization to your proposal. So a good thing for you is making sure that it's clearly labeled with the solicitation number. So all the documents that you provide, I would recommend having the solicitation number on there so we can make sure that what you're providing us is in fact in response to the solicitation that you are responding to. Because the truth is that I know many of y'all may be responding to multiple, and if something comes across and it seems out of place or it just doesn't, jive with the scope of a solicitation or something, it'll give us an idea of, hey, at least we know this is very specific to this solicitation. If you were working on another one and something got mixed up, we'd at least be able to have a better understanding about it. So clearly label it with the solicitation number. That will help everybody make sure that what is in your package is responding to that specific solicitation. Make sure that your contact information is in there. If there isn't accurate contact information, if there are any questions, any issues, etc., then there's nobody to get a hold of. Make sure it's organized into sections based off the RFP requirements. And this whole, throughout this tips process that I'm going to give you, one of the biggest things that I will continuously say is, what does the RFP say? You need to respond to the RFP, and the RFPs should have very specific details as to if you have to have certain attachments there, if you have to provide certain information relative to your experience, if they want you to have a certain cover sheet with certain information. It's all in the RFP. So organize it based off of what the RFP requirements stipulate, because every RFP is different, right? Like, our office provides RFP and IFB boilerplates to the departments, which have generic language that needs to be in there. However, the departments themselves build this out. So going back to, if you submit multiple different proposals to different solicitations from different departments or whatever, every department is different. Every need is different. So you are not necessarily going to get the exact same expectation. So pay attention to what's in that RFP proposal, or that RFP, so that your proposal is in fact responding to what those specifics are. And then make sure it's just neatly packaged, it's organized, it makes sense in what you're providing and responding to what the requirements were that were listed. So accuracy. Please make sure you are paying attention to the due date and time that's verified in the RFP. One thing about BidNet, and when you go to BidNet and you download the solicitation, and you have the getting the information through BidNet and obtaining it that way, the contact information you provide in that is also what we use in case there are any solicitation amendments, which sometimes the solicitation amendment that comes out may be changing the due date and time. So just be aware of that. Make sure that you are monitoring that RFP and that you have the accurate due date and time. Because if there are other solicitation amendments out there that have material changes to the solicitation, clarification, Q&A from a potential pre-submission conference, stuff like that, you just need to be aware of it so that you can provide the most thorough and responsive proposal. Proposal submission location and directions verified. That, again, in the past, it used to be an actual location, which was our office. Now it's BidNet. All of that information is provided to you in the solicitation itself as to the manner in which you get to BidNet, and if you should have any issues, what you can do, who you can talk to, etc. Making sure that the proposal submission requirements are verified. So this, again, goes back to whatever's listed in the RFP as a requirement for a submission requirement is what you need to provide. If there's something in the RFP that says, with your submission, you must have X, Y, and Z, and you only give us X and Y, then you can be considered non-responsive because you didn't provide Z, and that was a required submission. So make sure that make a checklist or something, whatever it is you need to do internally to make sure that somebody's checking to make sure every single thing that said you must have or please address this is taken care of. Solicitation amendments verified, if any, for material and non-material updates. Like I said, you need to stay on top of that. While you do receive notifications to the contact information provided, it is still a responsibility of the vendors to make sure that you are up to date on any solicitation amendments and you acknowledge them. And proposal package reviewed to ensure completeness and required submissions included. Again, that can't be hammered too much, because if you don't have something that is required, then you will be deemed non-responsive. So your biggest, the biggest failure that you could potentially hit at the very beginning is not providing all the information that's required. There is no exception to that. If there are certain things listed in the RFP as must be provided in your submission, and it is not there, you will be deemed non-responsive. You are not going to be able to just say, oh, well, I forgot that, here it is. Like, we can't accept it after that. The due date and time is set at what it is, and nothing can come in after that if it wasn't already provided with your original submission. All right, sorry. Okay, so the content of stuff. You need to make sure that the content of your proposal is complete, concise, and including description for each submission item. So again, going back to the RFP, like, one reason I can't necessarily sit and use a specific RFP as an example is because I can tell you right now, requirements and specifics to an IT RFP are vastly different than the requirements and specifics to a construction one, or landscaping services, or anything, right? Like, nothing is equivalent to the other. Do they have the same general sets of things, like scope, deliverables, proposal requirements, submission requirements, evaluation criteria, stuff like that? Yes. But other than that, there's nothing that's a consistent across the board requirement for the departments, with the exception of our general terms and conditions and stuff like that are there for y'all to understand what is expected from that perspective. But make sure it's complete, make sure it's concise, and you have everything in there for each submission item. Make sure that you have your resumes, any writing samples if that's required, and other required submissions, like, depending on the service, or depending upon what the department needs to do a proper evaluation, they may say that they need, like I said, writing samples, or a specific project, like past project experience information, like, give me 5 examples of previous projects you did that are of similar scope and etc. So if they're requiring that, then please provide it. A key thing for you, and this is one of the bigger things on making sure that your proposal reflects emphasis on the evaluation criteria areas. So every RFP will have an evaluation criteria set. And that's where they're going to tell you what points are associated to, like, what they're valuing at each level of part of the evaluation. So it could be a certain number of points based off of experience, a certain number of points based off of description of the project, the proposal you have for the project. It could be a very, like, a vast difference, again, between the types of services. So depending upon what you're responding to, just make sure you're looking at that evaluation criteria, what that breakdown is. If it's 100 points, there's going to be something in there for MFD. There's going to be potentially something in there for local business preference, etc. But the other stuff, which is department specific, which is evaluation associated to their needs, y'all need to pay attention to that. I'd say if there's something that is 50 points out of 100, you really need to hone in and you really need to give a lot of information associated to that, because that's obviously where they're looking for the most information from you to be able to make a solid evaluation. So just pay attention to those the point system that they have set up. It'll basically tell you what the priority is to them on whether it be cost or experience, etc. Making sure that if for any reason you have exceptions to technical or other requirements, you can put them in there, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be, accepted. Sometimes that comes with terms and conditions that may be an issue. If something's not clear, you may have some other note in there. But just take that into consideration. You can note it to us in your proposal, but that doesn't mean it's going to be accepted. And also obviously take it into consideration with whether or not something you're taking exception to could potentially affect the material scope or need from the department. The proposal separates supporting documentation, such as, again, depending upon what's required in the RFP, if there's annual reports or specific literature or brochures or a breakdown of projects, making sure that you have all the supporting documentation to that. Sometimes there's going to be a note that there needs to be a cover page, and if there's specific stuff that's listed as in your cover page, please provide X, Y, and Z. Make sure you hit all those topics. If it says provide past project details, whether it's as attachments or, how many years, what it was you did, confirming that the scope is similar, all of that, make sure you have all that supporting documentation in there. And another thing, and this can kind of, depending upon if they have it built out a certain way, but you can put it in your cover letter or whatever, but make sure that your proposal is clearly stipulating that you understand, I see what your need is, this is my response to that need, this is how I'm going to take care of it, or this is how I feel I would be successful in meeting those needs, etc. So don't just necessarily be like, oh, this is, I'm responding to a solicitation that's just like all my other work, so I'll just take something and plop it in here because I used it for some other jurisdiction for the same type of work. No, be very specific. Okay, Montgomery County, I see what you need. I see this is why you need it. This is how you need it, blah, 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 whatever. But making sure that you're addressing what Montgomery County and that department needs, not necessarily a generic response, but any specifics that they may have in their RFP, you want to replicate that and say, I get it, I know what you need, and this is how I'm going to handle that, or this is what I'm going to provide to you. Sorry, trying to get this together, not sure where we go. Timeliness, again, there's a specific date and time, due date and time. Please make sure you're paying attention to that in case it changes. But that due date and time is it. There are no exceptions. Especially now that we do have it online, it is a very clear, like, the system locks you out if you don't have a submission, your full submission in there by that time. If you start working, say something's due at 3:00 on whatever day, and you start working on it at 2:55 and trying to upload it, and all of your different pieces that are required aren't uploaded by 3:00, sorry. There is nothing we can do about it. So give yourself enough time to make sure that you if you run into any issues, whether it be technical, whether it be you realize you didn't completely answer something, make sure you're not waiting till the last minute, because that due date and time is it. That's all you have. RFP discrepancies, questions, etc. Make sure those are raised as early as possible and prior to the RFP closing date and time. The next bullet point kind of goes with this too. Keep abreast of RFP opportunities, but also note whether there are pre-submission conferences that are being held. So both of those in the RFPs themselves, it will tell you if there is a pre-submission meeting. If there is, then I highly suggest you go, because that's where you're going to get, the people that will be at those meetings will be representatives from our office, representatives from the department, the subject matter experts, etc. So if you do have questions, you can ask those questions there. You can hear what may be very particular things that they want to make clarifications on, etc. So definitely use that to your advantage. If they have one, great. Is it required for every RFP? No, it's not. But I will say that our office highly recommends to departments, especially for anything complex or something that may be new to a program or something like that, to have pre-submissions, because then we can make sure we iron out details and give the vendors an opportunity to ask questions. So if there's not a pre-submission, that doesn't mean you can't ask questions. Just make sure you get them into our office and the departments as soon as possible, so we can make sure that there's enough time to turn it around with answers via a solicitation amendment. When you send stuff, make sure it's in writing to the contact information in the solicitation. And then debriefings can be performed. They're not required to be performed, but we do offer them. It is something that is managed by the QSC in the department. So after the solicitation process and after recommendation for award and contract execution, if you are not a successful vendor for that solicitation, you are welcome to request a debriefing from the QSC to better understand information relative to your proposal. One thing about debriefings is sometimes people think that they can be like, well, why did they get it and not me? That's not how they go. It is specifically for you to come and learn, what is it that I could have done better? My proposal, my score, what would improve that score next time? So it would be a matter of the department discussing with you what may have been missing as detail that they were hoping to see, or clarification that they needed that you can actually perform to the level that was needed, etc. Again, through all of this stuff, the variables are all over the place depending upon what the need is, what department's doing it, how they have their RFP built out, what expectations they've set in the RFP for required submissions or deliverables, etc. So ask your questions, get your information in, follow up to learn from it, and please, no matter what, don't give up. A lot of times we hear people get frustrated because they've put in for multiple different solicitations and never win. Just keep trying, because I can tell you in the past few years, our numbers for new vendors getting contracts is very high. It is increased every year. So we have data to show that new vendors who have never been a prime contractor with Montgomery County are getting business. You just have to keep trying, and make those small improvements every time you make an effort, and talk to, if you do debriefings, use that as feedback on how to improve moving forward. But those are the key things that y'all need to take into consideration when responding. The unfortunate thing associated to, again, this type of training, so to speak, or giving you this information, is it's very hard to get to specifics, because we can't sit down with vendors and go through specific RFPs and be like, and this is how you should respond to this one. We can't assist with that. But telling you and emphasizing to you that you really need to focus on what the RFP is requiring of you is the key factor. Everything that you need is in the RFP. Respond to it and respond to it the way they've built it out and requested, and you should be, set up for success on moving forward and having a shot. If you're vague, if you don't respond to their specific needs, if you don't identify that you truly understand what it is they need, or if you don't provide all the submissions, that's where you're going to end up getting into some issues that could lead to not being successful. But with that, I'll stop and see if there are any questions. I don't know if the questions have been answered in the chat or sorry, I've been looking at other stuff.
Thank you, Melissa. We've been answering some questions in the chat, and there's a question, are debriefings done in person or only in writing?
I believe that there's been stuff done in person or virtually. I don't know. I would need to double check with OCA to see if there's specifics associated to just being in writing, but I think the biggest thing is whatever it is you do ask, it would be most helpful in writing, because then it's clearly identified what it is you are looking, like whether it's in person or not, having it written out and submitted to the QSC as part of your questions would be beneficial to everybody to make sure it's clear what you're asking.
And then we have a question, where can we obtain a forecast for 2026 to 2027 opportunities?
Those are on the projections. Sorry, I'm trying to see. I don't know why I can't see the main chat. The projections website, I don't know if anybody dropped that into the chat, but
yes.
I just dropped it.
Thank you. We try to keep those updated as stuff comes in. One thing for that is it's primarily, it's based off of information we're getting from the departments, that when they're just putting stuff on our radar, it's not a guarantee as to when it's coming out. That it just means that we've now seen something that, okay, this department's working on this solicitation. It's estimated to be done and out by this time, but it's not guaranteed. So Pat dropped the website for that into the chat, so you can check that out.
Thank you. And I see we're getting some answers in the chat, so some people are responding there. It says, another question, I've seen RFPs with specifications for LSBRP. If my company's application is in review, am I able to submit a proposal still? So that might be a question for
Mike. Jump in on that question. Yeah, as long as your application is in a pending status prior to the closing date and time of the solicitation, then it will be evaluated. However, if you are the proposed awardee, you will need to be fully certified before any contracts are signed. So just being in that stage where it's submitted and it still hasn't been approved yet will get you, get your foot in the door, and your proposal will be evaluated.
Thank you, Mike. We have a question. It says, what networking events do you recommend for new vendors? So I'll answer that question. So we have a monthly online open house every third Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and it's hosted on Zoom. Every month we rotate the topics for the online open house. This month's topic was what to expect when responding to an RFP. But we do rotate the topics, and the topics are listed on our website, on the outreach events page website, and I'll share that in a moment. So you can attend that every month on Zoom. And then every fall, we host a fall procurement fair, and the fall procurement fair is typically more of an educational event where we have panel discussions on how to do business with Montgomery County. We usually have an MFD certification panel and a local agencies panel where we'll invite MCPS, Montgomery College, City of Rockville, WSSC, and some other local agencies to talk about how to submit solicitations with them. And then every spring, we have our Vendor Connection Summit. And that is kind of a reverse trade show where we'll have some Montgomery County prime contractors as exhibitors. And then we'll also have local resource organizations. So local chambers of commerce, such as the Maryland Black Chamber, the African American Chamber of Montgomery County, the Hispanic Chamber, Gaithersburg Germantown Chamber, all the local chambers, Small Business Association or administration, lots of resources for businesses. And it's a networking event. So we highly recommend that you attend the fall and the spring event. I was going to announce the spring event is on April 22nd, and that's at the Silver Spring Civic Building. And I will just quickly, if I'm able to share my screen, and I will show you the outreach page website where you can see some of this information. We have an event calendar. Just let me know if you can see my screen. This is our website, and we have an event calendar. So this is our event right now. So you can see the information here. We will host a procurement series with the Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce. So that's a 3-part series that we do every year. I think this is the 4th year we've done this. This event series is going to be held March 12th, 19th, and 26th. And then there's our online open house again. And then if you want to view the full calendar, you can click on the full calendar. And this has a list of our upcoming events. This is the Vendor Connection Summit that I mentioned in Silver Spring. And as we book events, I will add them as they get booked here. And then you can also, I'll go back to our homepage here. You can also click on this button, View Outreach Events. So these are our online open house events. This was our January event. So if you want to watch the recording or view the PowerPoint, you can find it here. And then you can click on this, our past 2025 events. So these are our previous events, and the ones that we recorded or have a presentation for, we post them here on this page. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you. And then let's see. For local companies that lost all their revenues due to federal regulation, but still don't qualify for LSBRP because of prior year's revenues, does this mean we have to wait for another 2 to 3 years to qualify for LSBRP certification when our 3-year revenues average out to the necessary level? So I'll turn that over to Michael Brown to answer.
Yeah, I'll jump in on that. Unfortunately, we have to go by the 3-year, most recent 3 years revenue. But with LSBRP, you also have to be mindful that depending on the type of business you are. So, for example, if you're a service-related business, your 3-year average revenue cannot exceed $10 million, or you need to be under 100 employees. So if your revenue has gone down, I would also assume that the number of employees that you typically carry has also declined. So, and it's one or the other on that is the point that I'm trying to make. So revenue we can push aside and look at the number of employees. So if you are under 100 employees as a service-related business, you could qualify that way, providing everything else is in order as far as where you're located. So it's strictly not just based on revenue. We can look at number of employees.
Thank you. And I see Pat posted our newsletter link. We have a weekly newsletter, so you can refer to that link. Do we have any other questions? If you'd like to unmute yourselves, you can ask your question out loud. Or you can type them in.
I have one. Well, first of all, thank you very much for, again, another informative session. This is really very helpful, especially for small business who are like new entrant to the procurement office. The question that I had is, does Montgomery County Procurement Office has a mentor protege program similar to the Small Business Administration? If so, where can small businesses find that information on the website? Thank you.
We don't, unfortunately. There's somewhat of a conflict of interest essentially when it comes to that, since we're the ones that are actually putting the solicitations and everything out there. It would be difficult for us to have for everybody to maintain a fair playing field, so to speak, if we were to sit down with individual vendors and try to help walk through different stuff. You are more than welcome to reach out to our office and ask questions in regards to the specific programs like Grace's team and the socioeconomic programs. But when it comes to being able to sit down and kind of talk through how to respond to a specific RFP or how to, interpret certain stuff, like general questions can come in, solicitation specific, and we would be able to handle them via solicitation amendments with Q&A stuff. But outside of that, we unfortunately aren't able to do kind of the hands-on, one-on-one type of interaction with vendors, just due to the trying to maintain neutrality to the process.
Right. Thank you very much for that answer. No, that's very helpful. Also, but what I was thinking is maybe if there are major organization or just major vendors who have just really the experience of working with the county, kind of that like really mentor new small businesses who are just really entering into the procurement with the county. So that's what I was just really trying to get at. But thank you very much. I understand the conflict of interest that you mentioned. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd like to answer that question. There are some resources that we posted on our vendor resources page where you can connect with some of the business development organizations in the area. We have Chamber of Commerces for each ethnic group: African American, Hispanic American, Asian American, Chamber of Commerce. Of course, there will be a membership fee, but once you join them, they provide a lot of events as well as business development opportunities, trainings, and things like that. Also, we have Maryland Women's Business Center that's located in Rockville. They serve not just the women business owners, they also serve men. So you can sign up with them too. Also, we have a NCEDC, the Economic Development Corporation in Montgomery County. They have some programs maybe similar to what you're looking for. Just unfortunately, procurement office cannot provide specific training opportunities to certain vendors so that we are treating everybody fairly.
Hi, I have a question about subcontract opportunities. How do you gain access to this?
Subcontracting opportunities?
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. What was it?
She was asking how to get subcontracting opportunities.
Maybe I can. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll put in one piece from my perspective on the process for the solicitations. One good thing that we recommend to people who may be focused on subcontracting is if you see a solicitation come out that does have a pre-submission or pre-bid meeting, that's where a lot of primes will go. And so you're able to like anybody, like as long as you have access to the link to join that meeting, anybody can go there and you'd be able to go there and potentially see what primes are considering for that solicitation and gain some insight who you may be able to reach out and contact. That's from my perspective, but now I'll toss it to Al.
Thank you, Melissa. Yes, Melissa is exactly right. However, from the perspective of a certified minority firm holding one of the 6 certifications that we do recognize and accept because Montgomery County does not certify. You will have every opportunity to engage and connect with a prime contractor regarding their available opportunities to purchase any goods or services or even subcontract in any manner for which they need assistance and support of the contract. So that's one of the benefits of being a certified minority firm, holding one of those 6 certifications. Now, with that said, you would have to go through their certification, one of the 6, for example, MDOT, Maryland Department of Transportation, to receive that. That's probably a very involved process that you will experience anywhere from 60 to 90 days, maybe even a year, to complete that process. But again, the benefit to the program is number one, because it's basically a subcontracting program, is for you to connect with them and assisting them in achieving the performance on the contract as well as them achieving the goal, because we have specified goals for each of the 4 purchasing categories. With that said, we don't care what they buy. You will have every opportunity to engage them, to sell them on something that you can assist with respect to their needs. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Al. And we have a question in the chat. It's asking, when a contract is awarded to a service provider, is there a way for us to access the award information or obtain the contractor's contact details so we can introduce our products and services?
So yes, we always have to publicly post award. So if you monitor, if you know that a solicitation came out and you pay attention to when the due date is, and then monitor, the time thereafter for any posting of award for those solicitations, then you'd be able to see who the proposed vendor is. That's on our website. Again, I don't know if somebody can drop that quickly in the chat, but you'll be able to see who's awarded that way if you're talking about specific solicitations. But in general, anybody can go and search what vendors are registered in CVRS. And I don't know if Sharonda, you're able to maybe speak to this more, but and do a search as to what vendors may already be registered to do business with us that are in whatever service area. Like I see you're on for paint, but just in general, if you search for somebody who's doing whatever it is your commodity is, and you may be able to just go ahead and make contact with them, whether it's for Montgomery County business or not. But that's a 2-part answer for you.
Thank you. I see. Does anybody have any other questions? You can either unmute or put the question in the chat.
Good morning. I have a question. I'm Deepa Parija, and I'm a minority and woman-owned. I have a small business, and to respond to a RFP, do I need to be certified first before I submit the RFP, or how does it work?
Grace, does your team want to?
Yeah, I can answer that. So you do not have to be certified at all, either as a local, small, or minority female-owned businesses to respond to our solicitations. There are certain solicitations reserved if it shows it's reserved under the LSBRP program. Then you do have to submit a application for our local small business certification. As a minority firm, you do not have to be certified when you are responding to our solicitations. However, if you do have a certification as a minority or female-owned business by one of the 6 entities that we accept the certifications from, then you possibly will get some evaluation points as a minority certified business as a prime contractor in the evaluation scoring. That will give you a leg up. But if you do not have one, you don't have it will not block you to respond to our solicitations.
Thank you so much. And how long does it take to get the certification?
Depending on which certification you are applying for. If
Okay.
it's the most popular one would be used to be issued by the Department of Transportation in Maryland State Department of Transportation MDOT certificate. Now it's actually moved to a different department. I believe it's called I'm drawing a blank. It's something like Economic Mobility Department.
Okay.
Supplier and Economic Mobility, diversity and mobility, economic mobility. But anyway, it's a agency that's in the state would do the certification. Their benchmark used to be 3 to 6 months.
Oh, okay.
And I heard there is a backlog right now. So it will take some time. But if the certification is from a public entity, like MDOT or state agency or SBA, federal agency, or City of Baltimore, those are some public entity certifications we accept. They should be free. There are 2 nonprofit organizations. One is the Washington Region, DC, Maryland, Washington Region Supplier Development Council. The other one is WeBank, Women's Business Organization. Those 2 nonprofit organizations will charge a membership fee if they certify you. Those may be a little faster. But the public entity ones would take quite a few months before you can get your certificate.
Thank you so much.
All right, we have time for one more question.
If I may just ask maybe one more question. So for the certification, are these certification time bound? For example, if you sign up for them, maybe it's 3 years or 5 years. The reason why I'm asking that question, you may be a small business thinking like, okay, let me just go ahead and go for the certification. But if you're really ready to submit a proposal or just to be a subcontractor, then that may just really, takes a little bit of time from the date you were approved before you really can start using that certification to your advantage. Over. Thank you.
Yeah, most of these certifications have a 1-year renewal requirement. So some of them don't have an expiration date, but they do renew review your qualification periodically. The MDOT one, we know that they have a 1-year renewal process, which is much simpler. On the expiration date before that, you just need to show them that your status stayed the same. Then they will send you a renewal letter. That's all we need. So the real hurdle is the first certification, but do make sure that you keep an eye on the expiration and keep it renewed so that you are active in your certification.
All right, thank you, everyone. We are at 10:59. We're actually at 11 a.m. now. So I want to thank you all for joining us today for our online open house. As a reminder, our online open house is hosted every 3rd Wednesday from 10 to 11 a.m. on Zoom. So our March online open house date is March 18th at 10 o'clock a.m. Thank you for joining us today. Please visit our website. This meeting has been recorded, and I will post it on the website outreach page that I shared earlier. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.